Hey guys. Okay, so we want to go ahead and start here with finishing up this section on secants and tangents. When we looked before, when we had two secant lines that intersected inside of the circle itself, we would go ahead and add these two intercepted arcs together and divide it by 2. So for instance, if I had a secant line here and a secant line here and I wanted to find this angle, I would take the 96 plus 62 divided by 2, and that's going to give me my intercepted angle, or my intercepted angle. So we're going to do the same thing, but in this case, now we're going to go ahead and intersect outside of the circle. So you have two secant lines that intersect outside of the circle, a secant tangent line that intersects outside of the circle, and two tangent lines that intersect outside of the circle. And because they're outside of the circle, unlike before when they were intersecting inside of the circle when you added the two arcs and divide by 2, this time we're going to subtract the two arcs and divide by 2. All right? But with subtraction, you have to make sure that you're going to subtract the larger arc from the smaller arc so that you can ensure that you get a positive number. If I subtract the smaller from the larger, I'm going to get a negative number and a negative angle, and that doesn't work out very well for us. So if I look at kind of a simple example here first, let's look at, hang on one second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a little interruption I had to deal with. So anyways, so again, we're doing the larger arc minus the smaller arc divided by 2. So let's look at an example here. And we're going to go ahead and take a simple example first. So let's come down here to this example. All right, so if I'm looking at this example right here, and I see that my intersection is outside of the circle. So in order to find this angle right here, I'm going to take my larger arc, which is going to be 210, minus the smaller arc, which is going to be 90. Divide that by 2, and that's going to give me the angle that I'm looking for. Well, that's going to give me 120 divided by 2, which is going to give me 60. So this angle over here is 60 degrees. If I look at it a little bit differently, let's say that we look at this. So again, I'm looking for this arc BC, so we'll just call this X. All right, and so again, the same process, larger arc minus smaller arc divided by 2 equals the angle. So 141 minus the smaller arc divided by 2 equals the angle. Now we're going to have to do a little bit of algebra here, so we'll go ahead and multiply both sides by 2 in order for these 2's to cancel out, and I have 141 minus x equals 124. When I subtract this 141 from both sides, negative x equals negative 17. Well, x will equal 17. So that's the measure of this arc right here is 17. Sometimes you're gonna have to kind of use a little bit more critical thinking skills in the sense that here I have this larger arc. I don't know what this smaller arc is, and I don't know what the outside angle is. So how am I going to find this smaller arc right here? Well, if my larger arc, 245, is this right here, well, if I take this arc and subtract it from 360, that should give me the measure of my smaller arc. So we have, calculate that, 360 minus 245, and that's going to give me a smaller arc of 115. All right, so 115. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and take the larger arc, which is 245, minus the smaller arc, which is 115, divide those by 2, and that's going to give me my outside angle. So minus, let's see here. 245 minus 115 divided by 2 is going to be 65. All right. So again, every other example or problem is going to be set up the same way, where you have the larger arc minus the smaller arc divided by 2 equals the angle. So let's look at this example. Again, I'm looking for my outside angle. I have a larger arc, which is 147, minus the smaller arc, which is 67, divided by 2 is going to equal that angle. So now I know my smaller arc. I don't know my larger arc, but I do know that the larger arc minus the smaller arc divided by 2 is the angle. So we'll let the larger arc be x, because that's what we're looking for, minus the smaller arc divided by 2 equals the angle, 44. And then we just do the algebra. Multiply 2 to both sides. And so we have x minus 96 equals 88. And when I add that 96 to both sides, well, we have, let's see, 88 plus 96. That's going to give me 184. So that's the measure of my larger arc. All right. Again, same process. Now we're having to deal with a little bit of algebra where we're solving for the value of x here. So again, we have the larger arc minus the smaller arc divided by 2 equals the angle. All right, so again, process is still the same. I'm going to multiply 2 to both sides. And when I say 2 to both sides, I mean 2 to everything on both sides. Well, in this case, the 2's just cancel, so I have 203 minus 83, which is going to give me 120, equals 2 times 11x minus 6. And then we just distribute that 2, and then do the normal algebra here. All right, and then finally we get to this. Now this one, I don't know anything about this circle, okay? But I do know that if I let this be x, I'm going to move this closer over to this side, since my tablet generally tends to work a little bit better on this side. So if this is going to be x, all right, so this is going to be x. Well, this is going to be the whole circle minus whatever that is. Okay, so now I have my larger arc, I have my smaller arc, and I have my outside angle, so I do the same thing. The larger arc, which is 360 minus x, that's my larger arc, minus the smaller arc, which is just x, and that divided by 2 is going to equal 47. So we have 360 minus 2x divided by 2 equals 47. And then we do the same algebra. Multiply 2 to both sides and then solve for x. All right. So this kind of concludes this section. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me via email. I will certainly set up any sort of a meeting, Google Meet with you, whatever works out good for your schedule. This assignment is going to be posted on KudaWorks, and it will not be due until May 5th at 10 p.m. Okay, so that gives you almost 5 days to work on this one assignment. So please kind of keep that in mind. Try to get them in on time. And if you have any missing assignments right now, please just reach out to me via email, and I will certainly come up with a way of being able to get that taken care of for you. Okie doke. I do really hope that everybody's doing well, and we'll catch up later.